Podcast, where we take a deep dive into all things ammunition. I'm your host, Audrey Mayes, and today we are sitting down to have a recap of the 2024 rifle hunting season. I'm joined by Head of Research and Development, Jon Langenfeld.
Happy to be here.
Research and Development Engineer, Zach Caldwell.
How's it going?
And Research and Development Engineer, Logan Henry.
Thanks for having me again, Audrey.
Yeah, no problem. We talked shot shell, and now we're going to talk rifle. A lot of big game. All these guys at this table here had a pretty good season.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. I know that, let's start with the biggest winner, in my opinion, at the table, Jon. I know that you killed an elk this year.
I did, yeah. Colorado elk, southern part of the state. Had a great hunt, 6x6 bull, personal hunt. It was my first elk. And, we've seen a lot of bulls. It was a really good hunt. So I got to go with some good people, had good weather. It was, first rifle season. So I didn't have to deal with all the snow that came later into that Colorado, New Mexico area. But, yeah. So, do you want me to go into
complaints?
more
Yeah,
detail?
yeah. What did you shoot?
Well, I had a custom rifle. I was going to originally use a Wildcat, and I had a scope go out on me. So at the last minute, I switched rifles, and I took two rifles on the hunt. I had a spare and a primary, a 300 and a 338. One wood gun, one synthetic gun. And I always like to have a spare just in case, kind of a little bit of that preparation side. I don't want to go, a long way, a few states away on a big hunt and, somebody run my gun over with a side-by-side or something. And it's important to me to use my own equipment. It's just that connection with the gun. And I'm gunny, call it whatever you want, but I like that. And so anyways, I told myself as I was going out there, since my plans got derailed literally the weekend before I was going to leave and what I was going to use, and I had these two rifles as well, kind of ready to go. I'd never hunted the wood-stocked 338. New rifle to me, but not a brand new gun. I was the second owner. And then I'd used the synthetic 300 twice.
Okay.
So I told myself when I got there, if the weather was good and, since my scope crapped out on me, I was a little, gun shy. So when I got there, I was like, well, of course, we're going to shoot the rifles when we get to camp. And I told myself, if it's good weather and everything is still sighted in, when I'm there, I'm going to hunt the wood gun. Just because it was new, I hadn't hunted with before. So everything was fine. I shot both rifles there when we got to camp the first day. And so I used the wood 338, took an elk on the second morning, right around 200 yards. I think it might have ranged like 190, 195 or something. And, I shot him standing up on three-legged sticks, kind of safari style. And he took the first bullet and he didn't go down. He took off running. So I didn't stop shooting until he went down. Luckily, I had about maybe 50-yard kind of a clearing that he took off to run into before he got into a thicket. And right before he got into that thicket, I hit him on the point of the shoulder and just dumped him right there. So it made an easy recovery.
Yeah.
Getting up there, the first shot was fine, and he couldn't ask for more behind the shoulder and took out lungs and everything else. But I didn't know that. He took off running, and by golly, I wasn't going to lose my elk. So anyways, great experience. The 338 worked fine. First time I've ever harvested an animal with a 338. So good experience. I did send a couple of pictures to the builder who built that rifle, and I thought that was kind of neat. He always says he makes him feel like he was part of the hunt. And so, but I would definitely, if you haven't been on an elk hunt and you can go, I would highly recommend it. High on my list of enjoyable hunting. The terrain, what the elk were doing, hearing them bugle. And I like big animals, big antlers, just big bodies. To me, that's just, I don't know, just bigger the better.
Yeah.
If we could hunt elephants every day, I'd probably do that.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, great hunt. No complaints, new cartridge, for me to use at that time, and a lot of firsts on that hunt.
Yeah. Elk hunting in the Colorado woods, you can't really beat it, in my opinion. It's my favorite.
And really good friends. Like I said, folks of mine, a mentor that I hunted with that I grew up, and as I was in grade school growing up, he would take his boys on hunts like this. And, so going actually on one of those hunts, and it's not far from where they were going when I was a kid. And he was in camp, and he also harvested a good bull. That I'll remember more of that than I will just shooting an elk.
Yeah. Definitely.
So.
I know, Zach, I actually don't know how your season went. Can you give me a little lowdown?
Yeah. So we went on an elk hunt too, me and a couple buddies out in Colorado. Not as successful as John's. We ended up, I did end up getting a new scope and stuff this season, kind of late in the season, so I had to kind of rush to get my rifle set up. But ended up scoping it up and shooting some of the 30-06 150 grain core-lock tips. Sighted in great. Took, half a box to get it really laid in there. And then got out there. We were actually out in a plains unit, so not your typical elk hunt. We weren't up in the mountains. We were out in the low country, out in some canyon country. Had a couple tips that there was a herd down there. It didn't pan out. But we did end up seeing a bunch of bears. So, I think day 2 of the hunt, we went run back in town, bought bear tags, came back out. And we went, I think, a day without seeing anything. And then morning popped over the canyon lip, and there was 2 of them, out roaming around. And my buddy laid down on the rifle, and he shot the first bear. And, hit him solid. He rolled up, went down the hill. And then we backed off, and he started trailing. And probably half an hour later or so, I'm walking him in on it. Look down, there's another bear. So it happened quick, but my rifle was actually laying on my pack way back like 20 yards behind me. So his was still laying on the rock we shot him off of. So I flopped down on his, then ended up getting to shoot everything outside it didn't worked on. But, ended up hitting him with a 300 Burger VLD. Shot him about 245, I think it was. And it zipped right through him. He's, rolled back and spun up and made about 60 yards.
Oh, yeah.
But, it was awesome. First bear, I've always wanted to kill one, and happened a lot more unexpected than I planned on. But,
oh, yeah. 2 of them right there side by side.
Yeah.
You guys had some work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a rough day. It was, about 1,000 foot down in the bottom of this canyon, so it beat us up pretty good.
Golly.
Yeah, about right when it's time to pack out, your adrenaline stops spiking.
Especially on that walk back.
Exactly.
About the 6th trip up and down, we were getting tired of it.
Huh. So is he at the taxidermist? We getting a rug?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. So, we left him with taxidermist up there. I think we're supposed to get the rugs back May or June.
Nice.
So excited to have that for
You
sure.
have a spot to put it?
Still working on that. I'm sure the wife will have a...
Rugs
That's what I was going to say.
Rugs take up a lot of room.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide if I want to put it on the floor or on the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never been out looking for one thing and shoot another thing, but I would love for that to happen to me one day.
That's like Africa.
Is it?
Yep. Yeah, Africa. I mean, whenever I was there in Zim, we were hunting buffalo, and intentionally, I think I took 2 other animals that we purposefully found their tracks and went after them, which was zebra and eland. But everything else was a target of opportunity.
But you already have the tags for them, or can you tag while you go?
Yep.
You can tag while you go.
Yeah. You've got them on license, and so coming back off a buffalo stalk and jumped on an impala, and it was a good trophy impala. So boom, shoot him.
Yeah. I mean, do what the PHs tell you to do. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So
that's awesome, though. I'm glad that gun swap worked out for you. Sometimes you can't handle other people's guns like that.
Yeah, that being said, I did miss the first shot.
Oh, okay.
Now the story comes out. The truth is out officially.
Then you figured out where it was.
Yeah, he had told me, and it just in the moment I didn't think about it, but he sighted it in way longer than I sight my stuff in. So I shot right over its back first shot, and it didn't move.
No.
But, racked another one, hit him again.
I got you.
But
Yeah. At least, second take was good to go. So,
yeah.
That's
so did you
awesome.
realize it after you shot? I mean, you could see you hit high.
Yeah. No, when I let it go, I saw the rock splash,
Yep.
and he turned looking behind him. So, and it looked high. It was up above his back. So I buried it, put it down toward belly line, and pulled the trigger, and it hit him perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good that he didn't run off.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
got lucky there for sure.
Yeah, bear hunt is definitely on my to-do. So that's awesome. Yeah.
I want a brown bear. That's definitely about the top of my list.
Now, who doesn't?
A brown bear hunt these days is not cheap if anybody's looked at the prices of that.
And I don't want to go to Alaska or Canada or something.
Oh, yeah.
Intense.
I feel like
to
you've
do
got to
that.
go to Alaska's. That's my bucket list.
That's
Alaska brown bear.
Unless you go to Kamchatka in Russia.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Yeah. That'd be even better. Probably my more manageable might be Alaska, but we'll see if I ever hit that tax bracket.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then, Logan, I know that you bagged a pretty good buck this year.
I did. So, this year, just pretty much as far as gun wise goes on it, I was using my old trusty Remington 700 BDL. It's a 300. I did get a new scope put on it this year. I put a Vortex Razor LHT. Went out to spend some time with the Vortex guys, shot their long range class. And, I'm not going to say this is my long range gun, but the bug bit me just a little bit to, be able to dial and try to figure out some things like that. So I ordered that scope, been very impressed with it. So yeah, it was pretty much opening weekend. Can't ask for any better than that. I'm on my parents' place, just hunting in one of our farm fields. And I didn't even know that this was a target buck, or I guess I could say that. The weekend before, I had been fortunate enough, and I was out on the family farm, and driving out, I saw a really good buck. I split him up from a doe, so I stopped, and he literally stood and watched me for about 5 minutes. So I got out my glass and looked at him pretty clearly, and he was... I'd say for Southwest Arkansas, we kill pretty good bucks compared to, a lot of the area of our state, or probably even compared to the state. But, we try to be really selective about how old is he, what size is he? Because, as everybody knows, you got to let them get to age, genetics and age, but you've got to let them hit that age. He was probably about a 3.5-year-old deer whenever I looked at him that day, and I mulled around, that as soon as I watched him, I was like, I don't know if I would take him. But as you guys know, throughout the week, I kept thinking about him and, thinking about those horns in my head. And I think I called my dad that week and I was like, I'd probably take him out if he comes out. So the next weekend was opening weekend, sitting in the box blind, and I was sitting with my dad. The older we get, we, try to hunt together a good amount whenever we can. And I think we had about 15 to 20 deer in the field, lots of does, couple of little bucks. And we were watching behind us on the river. There was a pretty good buck that came out that we thought might be a shooter, but he had kind of disappeared. And, I'm watching behind us, so I had my dad looking in front of us, and sure enough, one comes out. And my dad, he's the guy, that he lets everybody know what bucks should be killed and what shouldn't. Don't go killing any baskets around our place, because you might get a little bit of shame.
Yeah.
But as soon as this deer stepped out of the woods, he said, "Logan, there's a shooter right in front of us." And I put up the scope and I took one look at him, and I try not to look at horns. So I took one look at horns, and I'm not going to lie, I got excited, but I guess you could say if you don't get excited these days, what are you out there hunting for? So I took a few minutes. I think he started out at about 200 coming towards us in a ryegrass field. And, took me a few minutes to calm down a little bit, get my breath underneath me.
Sure.
I felt like a young kid again. But at about 150 yards, I shot him. So 180 grain core locked in the 300.
Nice. That's classic.
Oh, absolutely. I think I've said it on the podcast before with core lock. I mean, there's not very many deer that I've ever shot that aren't bang flop.
Yeah.
And he flopped right there, but then proceeded to get up and run about 5 more yards and was dead right where he stood right there. So yeah, so it was a good hunt.
Yeah,
he's
no
about
kidding.
a 140. So for Arkansas, a 140 buck is a pretty good buck.
That's a pretty good buck.
So I was happy with him. We figured out he's about in the 3.5-year age. So probably could have let him last that extra year or two and let him be a real man, but I'm happy with it. So he's at the taxidermist right now, and we'll see how he looks whenever I get him back. So
Yeah, we'll put pictures of you guys' hunts in the podcast too, so everyone can see it. But it was a nice buck.
I was thrilled with him. Opening weekend, can't do much better than that. Then it was on the hunt for the doe after that. So
what's the story about the ammunition though?
So initially, I developed the cut load. Yeah. So I had went out and took a few of the rounds that I had loaded in development and shot it, and it shot very well in my gun. So then, right before the weekend, I guess I was a little bit strung out. The week before I had prepared and all this, and I left my ammo. So luckily, no, I literally left my ammo. So luckily enough, I had a box of core locks that was sitting at the house, and I think I even had an extra box in the truck. So I took those out, and whenever I got home that evening, I shot, and we were really close, within a couple of inches, and the core lock grouped well as it has before. I believe that's what was sighted in with it before I changed scopes anyways, and I've shot that for years. So I think we were definitely sub 1 inch groups at 100 yards. So very respectable. I mean, a lot of people think they've got to have these tip bullets, I would say. And my hunting, I would say, I'm not going to say I prove to anybody, but I don't always use a tipped bullet. And
if you want a tip bullet, go buy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got offerings for everybody, but core lock can definitely still get the job done.
Don't discount, something that's been around that long.
Yeah, the classic core lock, it really does always get the job done.
And it was a pass-through shot, so I like to get my mush if I can to see how it performed, obviously being a research and development engineer. But, the hole on the outside of that deer was massive, as it always is if you get a pass-through with a core lock typically. You've got a lot of expansion in that bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have now graduated to core lock tipped, but I used to shoot exclusively core lock through my 270. And this year I went to Missouri with big buck dreams and came back empty handed, and it was sad and painful, but still a really good experience. And we had a long range kind of like target shooting day before we went out and hunted. And, I did shoot my old Browning A-bolt, 270 out to 600 yards using core lock tipped and nailed the target. Wow. So, don't hate on the old guns, because they still hold up if you take care of them and all that.
So you're not, what kind of scopes on that? Like a 3-9 small variable?
Honestly, my dad built that gun. It's some kind of Swarovski. Okay. It's a nice scope though.
It works.
Yeah.
You can tell that we're definitely the gunny side over here.
Yeah. What kind of scope? It's a scope.
It's got a crosshair in it.
Yeah.
So why did you guys change scopes? Sounds like both of you did here at the last minute.
Yeah, I think. Did you get the same scope that I got too?
I got the next power size up, so I definitely went overkill. I'll just tell you that I went the 4.5 to 22. Yeah. So while my rifle, and I do like a classic looking rifle, definitely probably doesn't have that look. And it's a 50 millimeter. So my thing is though, is in the field we shoot a lot of times that ryegrass field. Those deer come out right at pretty close to dark. So for you to be able to see what you're shooting at, close to dark whenever you get on that edge of time, I thought the 50 millimeter might help me out a little bit. Yeah. So I'm very impressed with it. It dials well. It's crystal clear. So yeah, kind of did it last minute, but got it on there, and I'm impressed with it. Before that, I had a loophole on it that didn't treat me bad at all. So really no great reason for changing. Just wanted to have the option to dial a little bit if I wanted to.
Well, you went to that class with the Vortex guys, and
Yeah. And had a little bit of a personal connection with the Vortex guys, and really enjoyed my time up there with them. So you wanted
to dial a little bit?
Yeah. I got the bug from being up there, I would say.
Mine doesn't dial.
Of course, keeping within ethical shots, what you practice, but.
But you're right, like right at that like dusk time, like right before like legal shooting light goes out, it's nice to be able to get a little zoom in.
Or even if I'm not shooting right at dark, and I want to just stick the glass out and look at them. I like to see what bucks we've got in the area, how old they are, stuff like that. That might be why I say I went to the 22. Do you need it to shoot? Absolutely not. 3x9, fine, probably out to 300 or more. I know Jon shoots some of his a long ways, but I like to look at them and see what I'm looking at,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a little bit of both. Most of my rifles are what I call traditional hunting rifles, and I can't put a big telescope on one of those. It just
it just looks funny.
Yeah, that's like seeing a pickup truck that's got big wheels on it and tires that thick. It's got to look right. It's got to be proportional. I got to like the way it looks, and so. But yeah, I've shot the range that I go to. I can shoot out to 600 yards, and I think the lowest power that I've used is probably 8, and I've shot it out to 400 meters. It's in meters, and then you got 600 yards. But I mean, the smallest 3-shot group that I've shot, it was actually a 270 with a hand load, 22-inch barreled rifle, 8 power scope, 400 meters was .67 center to center.
Wow.
400 meters.
That's a group.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do it again. It shot very well, but again, I think that the competition long range shooting has brought a lot to the industry. But I've got a few scopes that are kind of call them modern. They're the higher magnification. They got some exposed turrets and things, and I can see advantages if you've got time in the field. It is much faster, in my opinion, to use holdovers. If you've got a certain distance shot and you know what your trajectory is, and you can just do it without. I've seen and heard about the opposite, where people get so accustomed to dialing for everything that they have a shot that they should be shooting and they're worried about dialing.
Really?
It's like, he's 250 yards, kill him. Yeah. How much do I dial? And it's like, shoot. Yeah. So, again, still being a rifleman and knowing, know your load, know your ammo, stuff like that. And, but it is fun, to be able to stretch it out and ring steel and things like that. And so, yeah, I've got a little bit of both, but I wouldn't say I'm converted.
Yeah.
Well, Jon, you went on a hunt with some new sauce that we got out.
Yeah. 360 Buckhammer, the Corlock Copper. So that one was a Northwest Illinois deer hunt, sitting in stands over food plots, second gun season. The weather was extremely opposite first and second half. We were 10 degrees, 30-mile-an-hour winds early. And then late was, I think it was 66 degrees on the last day in the blind.
That's nice.
It was completely different. But, so I harvested I never put the tape on him, but they guessed he was around 140. Older deer, probably 4 years old, right on the edge of the food plot last day, probably 30 yards, quartering toward me. And, he ran into the timber at the shot. And we found him, a little bit later, let him sit and called the guys and had him come in. There was a number of deer harvested on that hunt with 360 Buckhammer. I was the only one using the 360 with the copper bullet, the 160 copper.
Monolithic. Didn't
recover it. Yep. Solid copper. And, but anyways, no issues. They all shot great. It was good to go to the range, and you guys will probably see, the consumers out there will see media content from this, but there was an individual there that shot groups with all of the ammunition that I brought to the hunt in 2 different rifles, a Henry and a Traditions. And it was all great accuracy, and in today's world, where you can take the little Garmin chronographs. Everybody's got one. You put them in your back pocket almost.
Yeah.
Right.
You ain't going to be fibbing about what's on your box for velocity.
Not at all.
They're going to call you out on it right there. Most of the time they're not packing. That's the first time I've been on a hunt where somebody pulls out the chronograph.
Really?
Otherwise, they're tripods. They didn't worry about that. But, this was like, well, the proof's in the pudding here. Let's set the Garmin on the table. And
shape.
I'm like, well, I'm glad I know what we do.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be, I'd be here with egg on my face with this guy, and he's like, well, that ain't right, Yeah. But anyways, everything shot great, and velocities were spot on where they needed to be, and the accuracy was good. But there was other deer harvested. There were 2 does harvested with the 180 Corlock tipped. I know there'll be stories about that. And again, performance, we've shot enough game now with the 360 Buckhammer that we know what it's going to do. And in the rifles, there's virtually no recoil. And we're just seeing more and more offerings as more gun companies come on board.
Right.
And we've still got a few more projects that we haven't started, digging in deep yet, but we're going to do some more stuff with 360 that I think people will like. But that was my first harvest with a 360.
Oh, that's fun.
Being from Illinois and everything, I was always the slug gun guy starting out and shooting the cannon. And there was actually a slug gun in camp.
Oh, okay.
And the individual was shooting. He shot all these 360 ammo. So it was 2 rifles, 4 types of ammo. So it was 20 rounds per rifle. Shot all that back to back. So 40 rounds and 2 360s, and pulls out the slug gun. And he's like, golly, and he'd go, woo. You can tell when a slug gun goes off. But so yeah, it was just kind of like I said, full circle for me because I used to hunt with the slug gun and then migrated to a muzzleloader, and that's where Illinois was at whenever I moved to Arkansas. So going back and being able to use a rifle and then being a cartridge that though I didn't personally lead the project and do the design myself was a part of getting it to market, and so it was good. It was there's a little part of there's some pride in that and seeing it work and being able to harvest something with it and know that as other people are using it too that they're going to have good experiences with it.
Yeah. So with the monolithic, I'm guessing you got to pass through on your deer.
Yeah. It's I shot him just a touch far back on the onside, and I think I misread the angle, or he might have moved just a little bit. I was in a blind, and I had the perfect plan laid out.
Never do that.
He's walking broadside. I had the windows down. There's some does out in front of me. He comes out of the woods. I was glassing. I seen him. Made the decision. I'm going to take this buck. And so it was like, okay, nothing knows. He's coming this way. When he gets right there, I'm going to shoot him. So I'm ready. And he never, And so, the partition of the blind is the corner of it. It's my blind spot. And so as he walks into the blind spot, I'm waiting for him to come out. And I'm like, well, where'd he go? I thought, gosh, hopefully he didn't go in the woods because this is last evening. It's starting to get, it's not dark, but it was evening. So anyways, the does in front of me, they started kind of kicking around and acting weird. And, I wasn't sure if they were getting close enough. They were getting some wind. So they ran over kind of on the left side of me. And then, I figured, well, they're going to screw this whole thing up and, he's going. And so I kind of leaned back and looked out the left side of the blind, and I could still see him over there, but I didn't, the window was up over there. So I really couldn't tell what he was doing or if he was on alert or not. And, so I kind of leaned over to this side and he was eating. So I think the does got kind of riled up because he was kind of getting a little closer. I still don't know. Like I said, they were acting crazy, and they ran over to my, kind of my left in front of me. And by that time, I wasn't paying them attention anymore. I was like, I'm going to kill this deer. And so I got down and got on him, and he wasn't at the right angle. And then I moved around just a little bit, and he pulled his head up, and he was looking right at me.
Oh, shoot.
And I was like, gigs up. Let's,
time to go.
End of the show. Yeah.
And, and I wouldn't take a shot that I felt like that I couldn't connect and get into the vitals. And so I intended to hit that deer right on the point of the shoulder on the onside, but it went right behind it. And so anyways, behind it, it did exit offside, and, we got the deer, but ideally having him a little bit more broadside would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
More ideal. Yeah.
But it was, it was a good hunt, and, I'll remember that one. Yeah, I thought he was gone. Here was that, that close, and it's like,
last evening,
where is he at? Come on,
You're like starting to have the if it's brown, it's down attitude.
It wasn't like he was moseying left to right. It was like, here he comes.
Yeah.
And it's all right. I'm ready. I'm steady. Boom. I had the illumination on. I'm ready to roll, man. And steady, and then nothing. He couldn't have been just 10 yards from where, right, like blind spot, and here it was, like wide open. I got him, and he decided to sit down and start eating. Yeah.
Plans never work. It's
No.
always how we have it planned.
Just don't even set one up,
Yeah. Well, it worked. I called an audible. We got him, and so I'm going to do a Euro mount on that deer. And well, you guys have been eating on him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have.
It is really good.
Yeah, I brought the back strats and the tenderloins back, and then we got ground meat down in the freezer. So
Worth it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and
Worth every trigger
and
pull.
I was able to get them, get the back straps and tenderloins out and everything, and get back down here to Arkansas and not had to freeze it. So I usually think that's usually better. You don't have to freeze it yet. So yeah, it got. I mean, I think they were drawing straws down there, like who's going to get it?
Who's getting the
Are
most?
You sure
and it was
you
like,
want
you've got a kid. Well, I've got kids. I need a little more than you got. You're single and live alone.
Yeah. That's exciting though. I've never killed anything with the 360 Buckhammer, but I shot it a lot, and it's it's really fun to shoot.
Oh yeah,
It's pleasant.
It doesn't
Yeah.
kick
You
at
know,
all.
I didn't anticipate that. It was a while, probably even after we first released it, I really actually went out and shot it. And I was like, this is pleasant, you know,
Yeah.
just based on that. Even before Arkansas opened us up to where during muzzleloading season, we can use straight wall cartridges. I was still like, this is pleasant. You know, I might be sold on this one. And now that we have that law, I'm trying to get one actively. So
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I think it might be time to buy one.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I shot that one. Well, I took 2 rifles. I took one for. I was intending. My plans changed again. I was going to try to maybe harvest two deer, one with each bullet type, one with each rifle, and another individual ended up using the other rifle, but he used the other ammo and had great luck with it. No issues there. But I shot both of them. I sighted them in before I left and shot them out to 200. And there was no issues. I would have been confident in that. But those guns shot really well with both ammo types. One rifle had a turret. Well, they both had turrets on it, but I wasn't sure if I didn't go through and dope like how much you turn this one to get to this number. So one scope had some dots on it to where I set those up to I knew it was like here's 100, here's 150, and here's 200, and you know that's just me shooting and seeing what that trajectory is doing. But the other one I knew where I had it zeroed. If you had it on max power, you could use the bottom of the duplex at 200 yards as an aiming point, and so it would have been pretty simple and just easy. And if he's 150, just split the difference and you're ready to go.
I think that's attractive to users too, you know, because a lot of people, which here in Arkansas, a lot of people are different.
With that duplex, I wouldn't say that's every
duplex,
Not gospel.
But I mean, if you could dial or you can shoot and be confident at 200 yards, I think that means a lot to a lot of people.
Those rifles shot exceptionally well, and so 200 was not a problem.
Yeah. Well, here in Arkansas, you're not really going to shoot out to 200 yards. At least where I hunt, it's like everything's within 200 yards. I think the end of my lane on my deer stand is 200 yards. So,
yeah. It just depends. Where I was at up there, there was a couple opportunities. You know, it's farm fields and things.
Yeah.
But
you can see
you're within
for miles.
Well, yes and no. I mean, some of it was a farm field that was down in the bottom, and it was surrounded by mature timber. So it was just kind of depending on how big that field was. But I don't think anybody was seeing opportunity maybe. And even if they would have had an opportunity to shoot beyond 200, I don't know that they would have been in a position, if they're hanging on a saddle on a tree or something that, like, I'm not trying to shoot 300. I've never even been in a saddle, and I don't even know what they look like, but I ain't going to try that, So, yeah, absolutely great cartridge, and I think it's good popularity. So, and unfortunately, I tried to show some friends of mine as I was passing through Illinois that they're hooked on AccuTip, which is fine. But I wanted to say this is what everybody's using nowadays, and you guys are still in that slug gun thing.
yeah, we're beating you.
But unfortunately, they weren't around as I was going through the area that I could show them the gun and whatnot. But anyways, if you haven't looked at the 360.
You should look
I'd
into
take
it.
a look at
look.
it.
Yeah.
Take a look at it.
Those
There's
AccuTip save
more to
us looks are
come, and
pretty
there's
good.
more guns coming, and it doesn't kick. And the rifle that I was shooting had a muzzle brake on it, and you can shoot the thing free recoil. Like I said, I wouldn't be afraid to give it to anyone who doesn't like recoil. But like I said, I think back when I was growing up, and here's the 12 gauge slug gun, and here's a cannon. So starting good habits with anybody, especially young. I always think of young shooters, but it's not necessarily just young. Like, I don't like to get kicked if I don't have to.
Right.
But yeah, it works well.
Or like the 360 Buckhammer is cool because it's a lever action and it doesn't recoil bad. So if you want to look like a cowboy and have your face on it and just sit there and cycle and shoot, that's a lot of fun.
You can stay on target and.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that traditions they were using, that was a single shot with the brake, and I've shot it. It's pleasant.
Oh, yeah. It's got a little bit of weight to it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's more. The other one that we were shooting on the bench there was Henry single shot, and that was my first experience to actually handle one of those. It was a personal gun of one of the guys that works at Federal that came down for the hunt, and he'd been harvesting deer with it. He loved it. Nice short carbine length, shot well. Had a little bit of weight to it. I was surprised when I grabbed hold of it. It has your traditional look: wood, blued steel. The traditions was Cerakoted, black synthetic, adjustable comb, all that kind of stuff. but they both shot phenomenal. So there's options out there, and like I said, I think there's more coming. I don't know exactly who, but actually, I was watching something the other day. It was Greg Ritz with Thompson Center, and he was going through talking about everything he'd learned about since he's reacquired Thompson and bringing that out, and he had a rack of barrels, and he was like, "Yep, here's 360 Buckhammer barrels," and I was like, "Oh, they're coming!"
Oh yeah, that's good. I've had several people ask me because in the business we're in, I think people consider us probably, compared to your average person, pretty knowledgeable. And tons of people, as soon as Arkansas introduced the law to where we can now use straight wall cartridges during muzzleloader, I had people coming out of the woodwork. What do I use? What caliber should I use? So I think that this one's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I think it's going to last. I think
Absolutely.
it's
I
really
agree.
sticking.
Yep, it's got a purpose. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's got a reason. You don't have to make up that story. Marketing it and telling people why and what the good things are. That's easy.
Yeah, it was easy.
Yeah,
Still is. So yeah, the 360 Buckhammer I think is here to stay for sure. But did anyone here do any varmint hunting this year?
No, we were gonna hunt coyotes a little bit. I went back home to Illinois over the holidays. We did do some crow hunting, which I don't know how many people do that. But so crows in my hometown, they roost in the town in the winter in the evenings. It's got to be cold out.
Okay.
But they would come into town and roost in town. So there's lights in town, and they roost. It's warmer. They're all together, so they come to town. Well, and this started many years ago. They've been doing it for generations, but usually after deer hunting was over, that was our thing. We'd hunt crows. And I tell people it's like waterfowl hunting without the water. And so it's, they're smart. You camo up, you call them. We can use electronic callers up there. We put out decoys, and it's a blast. If you like to wing shoot,
Absolutely.
and you can go and do it, and it can be a fairly quick hunt. In the mornings, we'll set up so far out from town so that they don't fly over you and it's still dark. And we'll get out there at daylight and turn that thing on. And the best harvest that we've ever had in a morning, me and my friend Ryan killed 64 crows in an hour.
Oh, dang.
1 hour, 64 of them.
More than one a minute.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. And but anyways, in the evening, it's a lot harder of a hunt because those crows are making a beeline for town. And there's a bunch of them. And it's hard to change their mind. And there's a couple times where we've hit it really good on the edge of that flyway, and they're coming in the right conditions with wind and everything else. And we've had some good shoots where, within maybe 30 minutes that we can kill, 25, 35 crows. But it's something we can go do it every day. Every day. I'll get up. Oh, yep, crows are here, and let's go do it. And so, anyways, so I hunted some crows, and I like to shoot them with pheasant loads.
All right.
So yeah, my friend, one of my friends up there, he's using nitros. He came over to the Grand, got some nitros,
like Nitro 27.
Yeah, and they work. Boy, he swats them. And here I am over here with his cannon, and I'm like, maybe I should be using those things. But he's been shooting target loads now at them for a while. And if you do a lot of research, there's a few people out there who've killed and hunted crows in the thousands of numbers. And you read what they use, and it's usually along the lines of a target load or a dove load. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. Like I said, I like number 5, 6 pheasant loads and boom. Yeah. So.
I'd like to try. I don't know. I know that there are pests in that area, but I like to eat what I shoot. I don't want to eat crow.
No, you don't want to do that one, I don't think.
You ever eaten crow?
D-Wayne's cooked crow. Yeah.
You didn't eat it?
No way. I tried it.
Okay. And how was that?
Well, it was seasoned up. You couldn't tell what it was.
I've heard it doesn't taste bad. It's just a little
dark
tough.
meat.
Okay.
There's recipes out there for it. I mean, when I moved here early on, and I was talking to the guys in R&D, and I was like, "You guys hunt crows?" And they're like, "No, we hunt ducks." I was like, "Well, have you ever tried to hunt crows?" And I'm like, "You don't know what you're missing." And they're like, "What?" So I was like, "Well, I don't have a place to hunt, but if you'll take me somewhere, like I'll bring my crow call and my decoys." And so I took them out and turned that on. Boy, here come the crows, and they were like, "This is awesome." And so, anyways, I mean, I don't think those guys had ever ate it either. And one of them was, he likes to cook and everything else, so he took them home, and him and his kids cleaned them up and and he brought some to work. So I
That's
don't know if they
hilarious.
ate on them or not, or if we just, it was one of those things we just tried them. But yeah, I mean, it was early in the morning too, so it was like I hadn't even had much coffee yet, and I wasn't really moved to eat meat,
Bird.
bird. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll eat it. But so yeah, if you haven't tried it, crow hunting is it is a challenge. It can be very rewarding, and like I said, I've been doing it for years. Yeah,
I want to try it because it sounds super fun. And you said it's not cold outside. The worst part of duck hunting is that it's cold.
well, no, it's cold. You just near water.
Well, water makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? So,
You're not supposed to fall in the water.
well, shoot. Okay, no one told me that.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the waders and all that, but you got to camo up and
Yeah, you got to camo up well. Those birds can
They
see
can see.
very
Yeah,
well,
they
and
can
they are
see.
smart. What do they call the first crow that comes in? I can't remember. I've hunted it.
yeah,
It's been years, but like that first, I can't remember what they call them, but they always say the first crow that comes into your call, if you don't kill that one, move to the next
he's
spot.
like the watchman.
Yeah.
Yeah, up there, you don't. There's not just one crow that comes in. It's just like, so you're just,
You're like,
Yeah.
all right,
Oh
pull
yeah,
the trigger.
you're just shooting at them.
That's fun. That's fun. No varmint hunting, y'all.
I killed one coyote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you shoot?
Shot on a 30-06.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was deer
The deer
hunting.
rifle.
I was like, that is a heck of a varmint.
I wasn't varmint hunting, but I don't pass up opportunities to shoot them when they come by.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
yeah.
100%. Yeah, I really want a fox this year. I know we're going to talk about aspirations, but I really want a fox to tan and throw over my recliner.
red
You know
or
what I'm
gray.
saying? Honestly, I'd be okay with like a blacked out fox.
Oh, yeah.
Really just anything
Yeah.
cool looking. I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
They're soft. I don't know if you've ever been around. My grandpa was a fox hunter from years ago, before there was deer in Illinois. Hunted them with black and tans and a 10-gauge shotgun. And he had hides like that. He'd tan them. You see the old pictures of the hunters where there's a bunch of hides on the pack tacked up on
Behind
the barn.
you.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was him. He's sitting there with his dog and his shotgun and everything. But yeah, I remember him having, in later years, he had this one particular nice red fox and he had a gray fox, tanned hide on the wall. And that red fox hide was so soft. I mean, oh my gosh, you could have taken it to some place like Dallas Safari Club and sold it for $10,000.
Yeah. What about you guys? Have any aspirations this year?
Yeah. Looking into a mule deer hunt, I think.
Okay.
Not 100% decided yet. It'll
Colorado or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be Colorado public.
Okay.
Starting to research some, but we'll see. Always wanted to kill one. Never been on a mule deer hunt either. So.
Yeah. They're frustrating.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I've heard stories that it can be up and down for sure, but looking more towards probably a spot and stalk type hunt.
You got any particular areas? Like out on the eastern plains, or
Yeah, looking a little bit of both. I got some tips on a few places to look into.
you're not going to tell everybody.
It is public.
Where are you going to hunt?
What zone are you in?
And I'm limited by what points I have to what I can draw.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I went mule deer hunting up in like way north Colorado, and it was pretty good. So
Oh, really?
we can talk offline.
all
But yeah, mule deer is fun, and they're cool looking,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and they taste good. So
Yep. Their antlers, gosh, they get so much bigger than most whitetail. Yeah, there's just something about a mule deer in that open country and everything. That'll get in your blood. Be careful.
Yeah.
you get addicted for sure. Logan, what about you?
Probably no aspirations of going anywhere unless I can finally pull a Kansas deer hunt, but probably just to do some land management on what we've got. It's probably typical for one of my family members or me to kill about a 140 class deer, but I've got 150 on the wall, but really trying to bump the numbers up, let deer live longer, give them better nutrients all year. Don't just feed them right around deer season, So probably do some land management, try to grow some bigger deer. So maybe I can start whacking some deer in the 150 range.
Yeah.
I think that's my next number. Try to let the 140s go unless they're older and bump it into the 150s a little more regularly.
So are you guys using cameras? Like, do you know what you got out there? And
Yes.
Yeah.
Typically we, I will say whenever we went to the cellular camera game, I don't know that there's any. I know it's not cheap to pay the bill on a lot of those every month, but my goodness, they're very handy. So And that's the plan, even probably more this next year, would be let's buy some more cameras. And, you know, as one of our friends that works here, Chris Carson, you've probably seen him on the show, you know, form the hit list. You know, what deer do we want to shoot this year? And what have we determined's too young? You know, he may be a 140, he might even be a 150 buck that's 3 years old. Let's let him live another year. 2 years is, 5 years would probably be the optimal even. So
you got to get everyone to agree.
And I think we're getting on that page. At least my family side, we kind of agree that we'd like to let our deer live longer. But no, you're exactly right. Everybody, well, you're right. And I get that excitement as I talked about before over a deer that I'm not supposed to shoot. As the minutes go, the horns grow.
Never heard that one. That's a good one.
Sounds like it's okay if Dad goes with you.
Yeah, he'll tell you. You can shoot him or no.
Yeah, that's great. John, what's on the list?
I don't know about this year for myself personally. Maybe I can, we'll just see what happens. Of course, I'll do some more, maybe a little bit of deer and definitely go back and shoot some crows. But I'm getting the Africa bug pretty hard.
I was going to say no safari. What are we doing?
Yeah. So I was looking the other night. I'm thinking Zambia or maybe like Maasai Land in Tanzania. Mm-hmm. I don't know when yet, but I was looking at some hunters and, trying to kind of get some formulation of what I'd want to go, how long I can, afford to go for. And, but yeah, I think, I definitely want to hunt buffalo again, and I want to get leopard on the list. Mm-hmm. And there's a few plains game animals that, if I were to get up around Maasai Land that are unique to that East African country that you can that's where the only place that they're at. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, like I said, but my wheels are turning. And then I actually had a phone call the other night with a friend of mine that was on the elk hunt that I went on this year. And it sounds like that him and one of his sons has got 3 spots on another elk hunt in 27 in Colorado, except this place is in, it's where you can hunt with a rifle during the rut. I talked about it on the podcast, something for ranching for wildlife. Yeah. So we'd be able to hunt them during the rut with a rifle. Yep. And so, yep. So one of them was on that hunt this year, and it was just like bulls were everywhere. Big ones, bugling, all that kind of stuff. And so, as a lot of these places go, if you want to come back, you start booking stuff to reoccur. Otherwise, somebody else is going to get on it. So they got 3 spots. And probably all the other group of, hopefully none of them listen to this because they'll all be calling going, I want that. So like I said, I know at least 2 of them. So there's 1 spot open. And I said, I might, we'll see. We'll see if that I can persuade them to let me go on that one. One of the other friends, like I said, we've got a kind of a friend circle that they're going big game hunting and things like that. And if they get into one of these places, it's really good. We can kind of keep something going if there's enough of us that can go back and things like that. So, but nonetheless, so there may be another elk hunt on the future in 27. But like I said, I'm looking at Africa pretty hard, and I don't know. The brown bear hunt is tempting, but you're getting up in safari prices.
For one animal. Yes. At a safari, you can go kill several
you
animals.
can't discount the brown bear. I mean, the brown bear is a heck of a trophy, and they're just and you'll never forget that hunt. But I just don't know if I'm ready to do that, or if I want to go back to Africa, because I don't know yet. We'll just have to see. So I'm just saving money, and we'll see what happens.
And researching and
we'll
calling
see.
some folks.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good luck to us in 2025, I guess.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Oh, I said I want a fox. I'm still chasing a whitetail buck like I do every year, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I did this year and I choked. So.
Oh. Well, at least you tried. That's hunting.
I did try. Yeah, it was nice. Sad story about Missouri, but I also, I hunt in Arkansas every year, so I really just want a really good 8-point. And I know that is like really low potatoes for everybody, but like solid outside of the ears 8, I'm like, I'm gonna kill that. Okay. I'm gonna kill that buck. Yeah. I don't care if it's a 10-point. I don't care if I'm breaking records, but I just want like the perfect 8 point.
I think that's respectable,
Well, the trophy's in the eyes of the beholder.
I mean, hey, I've seen some 140 class 8 points that are really big 8 points. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, they're genetics. They're just not going to get any bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like symmetry, and I think 8 points is like perfect. You know what I mean? But outside
so
the
if
ears.
he's a 10, you're not going to shoot her.
Correct. No. I just, outside the ears is important to me. And
Oh yeah, that's a good factor. That's one of the first things I'm looking for at a buck. Is he outside the ears? If he's not, he's
probably
not going to get shot.
Yeah.
Those can be hard to find around here, though. A lot of them
here, yes.
A lot of them are high and tight around
Yes.
here. They go straight up.
And it's like,
That'd be all right. More for you, Logan. More for you.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, do you just leave them or do you take them for genetics? Because you don't want the gene pool out there.
Yeah, some of them aren't ever going to get wider.
Yeah.
They're just
They're really tall,
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Like crazy tall.
They go
so,
up.
Yeah.
If they're mature, that's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old
Age.
deer.
Give me the old one, and if he's old and got mass, and that's enough.
I don't know. I'm a doe slayer, so it doesn't really bother me.
Those eat well.
Yeah, that's different. But if you're trophy hunting,
Yeah.
maturity.
I know what I want. So, yeah. Well, there you have it, guys. Remington is on the rise. Like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this podcast with your hunting or shooting buddies. If you have any questions for me or any of the guys here, you can email us at podcast@remington.com. Thanks for listening.